in another way. Physics is the study of what science you can do with analysis, with classical mathematics, right? Other sciences that you can't do with that kind of mathematics are called other things like biology, for which you need computers, and so on. All right. There was a paper published 40 years later in imitation of that paper on the unusual effectiveness of logic in computer science. It's a fine paper. The work we do in software verification is an example of the application of logic to computer science, and logic works really well for computer science. Logic doesn't work very well in the real world, right? Everything you could do, every rule you could write about the real world has exceptions. Logic only works in some artificial world where the things that happen always follow some set of rules. And that artificial world didn't exist before 1936 or 1950 when the first von Neumann machine was invented. But that artificial world, the digital abstraction, computation is increasingly important. And that's why logic is now important in a way that it wasn't 100 years ago. In this paper, the authors say this: it should be made clear that we're not the first ones to single out the effectiveness of logic in computer science. In fact, already back in 1988, M. Davis wrote an eloquent essay on the influences of logic in computer science, which begins by stating, "When I was a student..." Who is this M. Davis? Well, Martin Davis, PhD, Princeton, 1950, advisor, Alonzo Church, inventor of the Davis-Putnam algorithm for resolution theorem proving, and of DPLL. If you thought, well, okay, Church's PhD descendants gave us our proof assistance in higher order logic, but I would rather do SMT, there we are. That's where SMT came from. Martin Davis is about 90 years old now. He's still alive. And he won in 2009 the ACM SIG Design Automation Achievement Award for the work he did in 1960. So that's a little late, but better late than never. Okay, so Princeton had the world's first great computer science department in the 1930s. This is where computer science was invented. Not only Turing and Church and Gödel and von Neumann, but Veblen and Lefschetz were very influential in developing the first mathematical algorithms and the first pre-von Neumann computers. And the building, it was called Fine Hall in 1930, named after a mathematician at Princeton. In 1969, the math department outgrew that building and moved to the new Fine Hall, which is the tower on Washington Road. The building was renamed to Jones Hall in honor of the people who gave the money to build the building in 1930. And that building is still there. It houses the Department of East Asian Studies and the Department of Near Eastern Studies. And the tea room with its beautiful paneling and its fireplace, in which you could find on some given day in the 1930s Albert Einstein having tea with Kurt Gödel and John von Neumann and Alan Turing and Alonzo Church. That room is still there, and I invite you to come with me on a tour of it next Wednesday after lunch. Thank you.